Welcome back, my friends, to TFT Hyper Roll with Autarch and part 1 of 2 of what I see as the absolute easiest build to climb with, at least in Hyper Roll. I presume it also will work in norms, but for Hyper Roll, this one is the go-to if you just want to climb. You can force it to some degree, not exactly as I'm going to show here, but the core concept is one that you can force, and it really is a core concept of TFT going back to the very first season, and that is tanky frontline and fast attacking strong backline. And I'm talking in this case about Guardians and Rapidfire. And that is also going to bring Punk in for a pretty specific reason, beyond which is just the fact that Punks get stronger throughout the match. Now, if you happen to see a Jinx with the Punk trait, you can take it. I'd prefer with Rapidfire over the Punk trait for reasons, well, I'll get into as the video goes on. It's time to look at the first set of augments, and for me, Component Buffet is one of the best because you're actually going to get a chance to craft items, which is so important here. Rageblade, absolutely key for Jinx or any Rapidfire build. So if you get a chance for Component Buffet, grab it. Look to make the Rageblade because you're going to need it later on. Now, in this particular game, we got pretty lucky with an early Amumu. He is going to be the key to a lot of this. That is going to be the core of your Guardians. But even if you don't pull Amumu out, you're likely going to win early because Jinx with a Rageblade is going to tear things up. Now, I want to talk for a second about why I like having the Punk trait active no matter what. Not only are they getting stronger, but you're getting the free rerolls, or should I say the one-cost rerolls every time, which is going to give you more rolls throughout the entire match. So it's going to help you build out your team. Now, you're hoping to get your front line pretty strong by this point, and by pretty strong I just mean that you've gotten them up to 2 stars. You need that little extra bump. As you can see, they're able to get through a little too quickly here, which allows them to finish us off. Item choice here is a tough one because either the bow or the chain vest will be really good. The bow for Last Whisperer for Jinx, chain vest just goes on Mumu. You want to get as much armor on that little mummy as possible. Notice also I'm not taking Twitch. I'm not going for 4 Punk. I'm going to just have 2 Punk so that I can get the one-cost roll and then the additional damage. And at this point, not having been able to 2-star the Autarch is really hurting because it is allowing them to get through. And once again, Jinx is going to give it her best shot, do a lot of damage and make it really close, but not quite to the end. Okay, I want to take you through all of this because it's all kind of key. Gonna grab the Sparring Glove to make an Infinity Edge on Jinx so she's stronger. Ascension, fantastic for this build because the Guardians will hold up the front line long enough to give you power. Once we 2-star the second Jinx, we can swap out. We do not need Punk as a trait since we now have Pantheon. So we're still getting the benefit of the one-cost rolls at the start of each match, but we can upgrade, get a Guardian Pantheon, and now we have 4 Guardians in front and our front line is getting a ton stronger. And you'll see the pretty quick difference right here. The front line is able to hold up longer. Remember, we now have Ascension after 15 seconds, so once they can hold for 15 seconds, we're going to do a lot more damage, which now will allow Jinx to clean up rather than get cleaned up. And remember, having that Punk trait active is going to give you the 1 reroll at the start of every round, which is going to be important in Hyper Roll where every gold counts. We last our 15 seconds, we get our power spike, we win. Your largest challenges are going to be builds like this, EDM, where they're going to Lux ult into your backline over and over again. Anything with a Kali or a Pentakill with Karthus, anything that can take out your backline could be trouble. This one we survived. For the final augment, I'm automatically drawn to the heroic grab bag, but I'm going to roll the others just in case something amazing comes out, and, well, it doesn't. So I like having the champion duplicators so that we can do things. I'm looking to just stack Amumu as much as possible. Again, he remains pretty much the centerpiece for me on this build, no matter what. So even if he's only at 1 star as he is right now, but now I have the duplicators to take him up, I'm going to try to keep tanking him up. I was hoping to do it there, but it wasn't friendly with the last component, but we can end up putting a guard breaker on Jinx. Now in this particular match, because we don't have Rapidfire as our headline trait, the plan is only to go to 4 Rapidfires and then have 6 Guardians in front. But that means I'm going to have an additional spot where I'm going to bring in Poppy just to trigger Emo for Amumu. Jinx may lead the damage charts, but Amumu is really the star of this build. The one problem with Component Buffet is that you're going to take a lot of extra time in between rounds, and in Hyper Roll, you don't get much time. So you're not necessarily going to be able to do everything you want to do. But we have now picked up a Lucian, which is a key Rapidfire. We just need to find Caitlyn at this point, but we're doing pretty good. So with an item choice here, one item I like to pick up in this build if I can get it is the Even Shroud, and that is because it sunders people around the person who has it, which means they're going to get less armor resistance. I'm not putting it on Amumu because I'd like to save that last spot for something either with more armor or health, but this way we're going to have weakened armor in their front line and our back line is doing nothing but physical damage. And ultimately, at this point, we can just continue on our rampage. This build is very strong early and through mid-game. It pretty much will get you to the top 4 just about every time. Winning is going to come down to luck based on a lot of factors that you really don't have control over. After the NPC round, we have a Caitlyn finally and another item choice. I am wanting to beef up Lucian a bit more. He is a very strong part of this build. While another Gargoyle Stoneplate would have been nice on Amumu, ultimately right now we can go to the 6 Guardians and the 4 Rapidfire by bringing in Caitlyn, which means Senna never made it into this match. And as I mentioned before, it is teams like this that are going to give you your biggest problem. Teams that can reach into the backline. If somebody manages to have this, you may have some trouble along the way. Other things that can get you, of course, Karthus, a 2-star Sona with the damage items and trait, that can do it, but you're in pretty good shape as you go along. At this point, it's time to finish off Amumu, so we can go with a Crown Guard to put on Amumu and just make him extra strong, at least early in the match, and bring him up to 3 stars with all of our champion duplicators. Finally, unless you have 3-starred the Taric, once you get a Yorick, I say goodbye to Taric and just put Yorick in. It's a simple math problem. 5 better than 3. And with Ascension, time is our friend. Our Guardians can hold that front line for a long time, and that's going to be key, especially against teams like this with Big Shot and Sona, lots of healing, but we can get through with that additional damage and bring ourselves into the top 4. And let's go through all of this. We're going to start by grabbing the Static Shiv just so we can reach a little more into people's backlines. We had the ability to 2-star the Yorick at the start of the fight. We're going to switch out Jinx just to move the items over to Caitlyn. They're going to be far more effective on her because Jinx is not at 3 stars and she's not the headliner. We'll grab the Dragon's Claw. I toyed with putting it on Yorick, but instead it can go on Nico. And we also get to 2-star our Poppy, so our front line is pretty strong. And then in a last second, we get that 2-star Lucian that is going to help us get to the next level. And I talked about earlier how much luck is a factor. In this case, their 2-star Sona that they have with Thieves' Gloves ended up with less than optimal items for what they're trying to have her do. and it allows us, of course, to end up getting the jump on them and knock them out of the game. But that was pure luck. Different items might have had a different result. And you'll see here in this Poro-filled arena why Akali can be such a nightmare. Notice how she leaps into our backlines. Remember, they said there weren't assassins in this set. But she is able to systematically start taking out our backline. Luckily, our front line is really strong, and it comes down to pretty much everyone against Akali. But notice how long she can last because she can keep becoming untargetable and doing damage. Amumu's going to get the last laugh here by stunning her, holding her in place, and that's enough to end the match. GG for everyone. I'm going to put up another video in a couple of days going more into the Punk Guardian Rapidfire build and why I like it. Hope you enjoyed this video and have an absolutely awesome day.